everyone, and welcome back to Across the Line. Today it is episode 6 of the ATL podcast. We're covering China. As it stands, this is the Monday, so the day after China. And we finally have an official guest on the podcast. We've roped him in, forced him to join us. He's mainly going to have a whipping for the team he supports. But we have Alex. Yay! I say we just get straight into it with the one and only practice session, which thankfully Beth once again is our reporter and has notes. So take it away, Beth.
I do indeed. Okay, so first and foremost, we have the return of Mr. Nico Rosberg. But all of 30 seconds ago, I found out you both hate him. So that's bad news for me.
Yep.
I personally really liked his commentary.
I just can't stand his commentary. He was a fine driver, even though he beat Lewis, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad.
I find he's a commentator, great, but he is obsessed with Hamilton, whether that's a good obsessed, where he's praising him, or he's criticising him. He's just obsessed with him. And any sort of commentator that's obsessed with one driver can't give a good explanation and overview of things. So, yeah.
Alright, I mean, I think he did brilliantly. But that's, I mean, Nico Rosberg is a whole
kind of fish.
Go down another time. Actually, not a part of P1. I was meant to mention this first, but we had some special helmets. We had Zhao's special helmet, we had George's special helmet, and we had Alex's Panda, which was personally my favourite.
Panda did look pretty good.
That was funny. That was funny.
Okay, so P1, we got to see the track for the first time in 5 years. It's quite a bumpy track. There's some bumps on the track, so that caused a few problems, as we will see when there was a fire in FP1 caused by. Gone.
Wasn't there multiple fires? Wasn't it not just one? There was two, I thought.
So there was one in FP1 and then there was one in the sprint quali.
Right.
So, as spoken about by Ted Kravitz, a wonderful reporter, basically, what turn was it? Turn 7? Did I just make that up? No, turn 7. There's a bump, sort of, and it caused the sparks to come off, and the wind was blowing, and it sort of just blew, unfortunately, onto the grass, and then the grass set alight. But that was a cause of a red flag. What else happened? Okay, so I mean, we're going to go into Lance Stroll a lot later in a lot more depth. However, there was something very interesting mentioned by Mr. Mike Crack. He said, and I quote, "Aston Martin's is Lance's home," because they were talking about Alonso's contract, which we'll also go on to. But he said that Lance belongs at Aston Martin. How does everyone feel about that?
Well, he belongs there because his dad fucking owns the team.
I was gonna say, yeah. He's not there based on talent. Let's just say that for now. We'll come back to it, as you rightly said.
They are holding back massively. Another thing of note that happened in FP1 was there was a bit of a kerfuffle, is the best way I'm going to put it. Kerfuffle, yeah. It was like Nico Hulkenberg and then Lewis, and then everyone got a bit confused, and there was Oscar, and Lewis basically said that Oscar pushed him off the track, but he didn't, not really. It was just a bit of a group up, like a bunch up.
Right.
But Nico made a funny joke that there's a race going on here already because Lewis was getting a bit like frustrated for no reason, in my opinion.
Rosberg talking about Hamilton. What a surprise.
There was also some locking up going into the pits. We had Alonso locking up and Oscar Piastri going up.
It is a very difficult pit lane. It is horrific, that pit lane.
It is. And I don't know the outcome of this. I don't think there was a penalty, but Lando Norris was noted for impeding Nico Hulkenberg. But that is all of my notes. Oh, actually, no! Stroll was fastest in FP1. And ironically, when that happened, I was like, oh my god, we're going to have a great discussion about Stroll this week. How right I was, but wrong in the same way. And then Piastri and Verstappen, and that is the end of my FP1 notes. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Very well done. Very well done.
Mic drop. There you go. That's the ATL news agent right there. But as you rightly brought it to, we got the sprint quali after that, right? They had no practice essentially because they had red flags with fires, and this was the only one and only practice session. Bearing in mind this is the first Chinese Grand Prix in 4 or 5 years, and they had an hour to get used to it again. For
Yeah, I
some
mean, was
drivers,
it?
it's the first time to ever be on the track.
Yeah, Pirelli was saying before the weekend, it's basically a new track for them. It's like because the track's been weathered. No,
Yeah.
no meaningful, if any, people have driven there
Yep.
over the last 5 years. So they've all got the new tires now. Because I think back in 2019 we still had Ultra, Hyper, and
Yeah, we did.
whatever, how many other softs there
Ultra
were. But
soft.
yeah, crikey. But yeah, it was basically a new track for them as well.
Yeah.
So having one practice was not the best.
No.
But
And I'm surprised.
Speaking of the
Oh, sorry. I'm surprised they made it a sprint the first time it coming back, because of the. It means they only had one practice session, 1 hour.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah. What were you saying, Beth?
it was just quickly about the track. I think Crofty was speaking about it. They haven't actually like fully resurfaced the track. They plan to do that now that they've been like extended. They just put like a layer of bitumen down to make it look very shiny and new, but actually the track has not been resurfaced, which is maybe. And also they pulled the gravel on some of the corners closer, which is why some of the drivers were having issues when they went off. They were actually going into the gravel. There we go. That's my track talk for everyone. So sprint qualifying. Let's talk about sprint quality. First, like you said, first sprint of the season, one of 6 sprints. I'm not sure.
Yeah, 6.
So, like we said, this was the second time we had a fire. I imagine it was caused of the same thing. This time it was turn 5, not turn 7.
Mhm.
And then
We had
out in Q1 we had some of our usual faces.
the
We had
famous 5.
Albon. No, because I mean Sargent was in there.
Yeah,
Albon,
famous
so it's
5.
double Williams,
Oh, double Williams. Okay.
and then it was double Alpine with Gasly and Ocon, and
Famous
then
5.
Yuki Tsunoda.
Okay. Damn. That's a shame for him.
It was.
But no. And then we had Well, I'm thinking that was SQ1, wasn't it? And then in SQ2 it got spicy halfway through because that was when rain started coming down, wasn't it? And that made it very juicy. Because was it
Yeah,
full
so
wets or
we
was it
had-
inters?
Inters, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. I don't think it was heavy enough that they put on full wets. But knowing the FIA nowadays, if it'd been full wet weather, they would have just red flagged it. But
Yeah, 100%.
You're saying that
Oh
like
well.
it's a bad thing.
It is.
well,
They're
they
there
have-
for
they
a
have these
reason.
Full wets for a good reason.
They're there
and they
for a
just
reason.
don't Use...
No, I know, and I know sometimes wet weather races can be absolutely shambles, but absolutely great to watch. But we know the history of drivers in wet weather races, so
Yeah, I'm not
Not-
disagreeing that. I mean, if it's torrential rain like I don't know,
Brazil
2011
last
Canada,
Oh,
or yeah,
that,
as
yeah.
you said, Brazil, then fine, red flag it, whatever. It is undrivable. But when it's a little bit of rain, just a bit more than intermediates, there's 9 times out of 10 currently the FIA just red flag it and just go, oh no.
Yeah, essentially. What's the point in bringing wet weather tyres when they know never going to be allowed to use them?
Exactly.
Waste.
so the wet weather brought some chaos into the sprint qualifying, which actually was quite exciting. So, well, actually not exciting for me. We had Charles in the barrier, but he was fine, so it's okay. We move on.
At what point was he in the barrier?
Q2.
It was Q2. Alright.
The rain had started.
Okay, so yeah, because I mean, not only did they only have an hour, that was an hour of dry track. Then it started raining, so they had to drive on a new track with rain. It was just a recipe
Yeah.
for disaster, wasn't it?
It was. So then, SQ2 out, we had Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Ricardo Stroll, and George Russell. Yeah, I mean, you could argue that his.
woes.
Yeah, I mean, what's your opinion, Alex? Because it was a bit like he couldn't put in another lap because of the rain, or was it He just couldn't get the lap times in. What was the vibe?
'Cause he's shit.
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I don't think Mercedes. It's never just one thing. When it rains, it pours. It's just. It might have been the fact that it was getting slightly heavier and there was no real point. It might have been the fact that he couldn't have just hooked it up or had a good lap. But yeah, just didn't work out. I mean, yeah, it was what it was. It's not terrible. 11th, I mean, 3 places and you're up into the sprint points. So realistically, not where we want to be, but where we are. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. But you mentioned sort of, the performance in the rain. But that must have been Russell's performance in the rain, not the Mercedes car.
No.
Because as well as Russell going, was it P11 in the rain, his teammate seems to make the rain work. Or at least he did
He
at that
go
point.
in the rain.
He
He
did.
rain.
He did really well in the rain. Coming home for P2, which is actually the highest quali position for, well, in any sort of quali session so far this year.
Yeah. It was good lap. I mean, it looked like it was going to be pole at one point, but
Yeah.
I guess we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, it was good from Lewis. It was really good, really good.
Did you feel cheated when Lando's lap time? So if you don't know, Lando was P1, but then his lap time was deleted because he was off the road the lap before. So Hamilton went P1, but then his lap time was reinstated. So Lando took pole for the sprint qualifying. How did you feel? Because obviously, being a supporter of McLaren, I was like, oh great, Lando, fantastic. As a Hamilton fan.
So obviously, I don't know the FIA rules well enough, but my understanding is if you're outside of the track barriers for that weekend, your lap is invalid. And I understand that sometimes due to, like, if it's a last corner that you've done it, they'll also delete that one and the next one. But what seemed to have happened was they just kind of ignored the current lap delete and will just delete the lap or the next one that he was going to do. But it was the end of quali, so I'm slightly confused by it. But I mean, fair enough to him. I mean, he can't win a race, so at least give him pole.
There you go. Hamilton fan says Hamilton can't win a race.
No, that was Norris. That was
That was
Norris.
Lando.
Oh,
That was
I
Lando.
take it as Hamilton. I take it as both of them, to be honest.
Alright, just because you're a Red Bull fan doesn't mean you get to speak horribly about our drivers, okay?
But no, that was sort of all the drama in sprint quali. It was a good, qualifying session. It's a bit juicy, But then that
Yeah, it
sort
was
of that carried over into the sprint, 'cause the sprint was also quite good. I had a lot better than the race overall, to be honest.
Oh, definitely. I mean, China's been a great track really since they brought it onto the F1 calendar in 2004.
Yep.
And I mean, just a good track. So
Yeah.
the fact that they could produce entertainment in the sprint, yeah, nice to see.
Yeah, good. But the sprint, right? Instantly, 5 red lights, away they go, coming into turn 1. Norris, terrible start. Hamilton's right beside him, gets on his insides, forces him to go really wide round turn 1, purposely missing the apex. Brilliant. I can't admit, brilliant move. It was smart of him. Norris, I think, possibly just a bit too aggressive on the throttle, loses the back ends, and then he goes from P1 to P6 before turn 2. Beth, as a Norris fan, yeah.
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't a good start for Lando. I must admit. I didn't watch the sprint live,
Right.
but I didn't look at the results. But I knew Lando was in pole, and I was excited because I was like, yes, oh my goodness, he's in pole. He's gonna pull an Oscar from last year.
Uh-huh.
He's gonna do it. He's gonna win. I wanted to have faith in him, and then I watched the sprint, and I was like, oh, that's a shame. Like the first corner, I was like, oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was nice to have that feeling for all of 30 seconds, but I remain hopeful.
Does this mean Piastri is better because they've both been in the same situation and Piastri pulled it off, whereas Norris flopped it in turn
Depends
one?
how you argue. Statistically, Lando has more podiums, but Oscar has more wins. So
But that's
depends how you want to roll
that's
the
also
dice,
because
I guess.
Piastri's only had one season.
So then, I suppose, yeah, you could argue so, if that's what you want to argue.
Oh, yeah, I'll argue that. It'd be a spicy argument. But no, then we skip forward a few laps, right? Hamilton, he's comfortable in the lead. He's thinking, whoa, Hamilton might. People are starting to realise Hamilton might win it's not a race, but it's something. It's the sprint. We'll take it. I'm sure he'll take it.
Sure, AV would have taken it.
I would have taken anything.
Honestly. But then behind him, we had a sort of battle of the Latinos. I think.
Oh my goodness.
We had the Spaniard of Carlos Sainz, Spaniard of Fernando Alonso, and then the Mexican of Perez, all going for it for that P2 position. Or was it P? No, it was P3 because at that point, was it P2 or P3? Because at what point?
It would have been P3.
Yeah.
Because Verstappen, I think, gone by then.
Yeah. So they were fighting for that final sprint podium.
Well, it was mostly Alonso and Carlos, and they were going at it, and then Perez was like, "I don't mind if I do," and he just went past them. He just said, like, "Fine, no, I'll take it."
Yeah, he said, "Thank you very much, goodbye," and then went.
Yeah.
It was a good battle between Alonso and Carlos. They kept flitting back and forth to each other. I was like celebrating, and I was like, "No, wait, no, Alonso's got the position back," and then Carlos took the position again.
Yeah.
And then Perez came out of nowhere, and I was like, "Oh, wow."
When Perez did pass, I think it was Alonso was the reason why I think Perez got through. Because
of course.
It almost seemed a bit naive from Alonso. I don't know.
Well, it was Alonso did quite a risky dive bomb.
Yeah. I think realistically he could have just held it out, waited for the next straight or the really, really long back straight when he could have had a better, cleaner chance of overtaking and potentially sailed away as well. But oh well.
The events happened as they are. And unfortunately Alonso DNF'd after that because of the damage from said dive bomb, which did sort of put an end to the brilliant battle that it was. But then after that little tussle, we'll call it a tussle, Sainz decided to have another go, not at Perez, but his own teammates. Yeah.
This has happened before. Like, those two are not afraid to battle it out against each other, which is good, but also absolutely terrifying because I am constantly worried that they're going to take each other out of the race. So I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
Obviously, to no avail. Leclerc was still out in front, but they did touch wheels, and that did frighten me. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm glad it was just sort of just leveled out a bit, and I was like, okay, I can breathe again.
Yeah. I did realise every year they're turning more and more into Hamilton and Rosberg. 2022 full-on teammates. They are. They're 22 full-on teammates going for it and playing the teammate game. 23, you had issues like Monza where they were fighting, and then you had
Monza.
And it seems because Sainz is out of contract this year, he's saying, right, no more team play. Me being a team player is me getting the points. And he just wants he's focused on himself, which is fair enough. They've sacked him, right? What's he going to do? Be kind to them? So this year, I think there's going to be a lot less of, working together and more like, I am beating you. I need to prove them wrong. So Ferrari DNF? Double DNF?
He's got to prove. Yeah, he's got to prove the point that he deserves a seat for next year. I mean, when he was fighting Perez, I bet you he's thinking, "Oh, if I beat you here, maybe I'll also take your seat next year." But yeah, he's been doing well ever since he had his appendix removed, and really since the Hamilton news. But yeah, I reckon if he does not get a seat next year, that's going to be poor by whoever team didn't pick him up.
He's getting a seat. He's definitely getting a seat. I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't actually get a seat.
You know what I'm not surprised about? Max Verstappen winning. He won the sprint. To nobody's shock.
No.
And then we had Mr. Lewis Hamilton and then Checo Perez. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Does
Lewis on
does
podium. We'll have a bit of Lewis on podium.
yeah? I was gonna say
Only
is
podium he's going to get all year.
I was gonna say does it count? It's a sprint podium. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused on how important with sprint poles, sprint podiums, and stuff like that. What is the significance?
People say like Oscar's got his first win and he won in the sprint. So
he didn't get his first win.
No, I'd class them as two very different things. I'd say
Yeah.
you've got 5 sprint podiums, or you've got and then you've got 2 race wins, for example. I wouldn't class them as 7 podiums in total.
they're different things. Obviously, they're different
Yeah.
things, but it's not. I don't think it's anything to discredit.
Oh no, of course not. I mean, a podium's a podium, no matter what
Yeah.
you've done well just to get there. But in the history books, they're going to be put down as 2 different things.
Well, I'm not even sure the sprint would even qualify in the history books. That's my point. It's not really thought about in the past. If it has real significance in the championship, someone winning the sprint, getting that 8 points, wins them the championship, that would go down. But
Well, that did happen.
yes, but so that one was significant for Max Verstappen. But I'm talking about all the other ones.
Right. Okay.
Oh yeah, because of course Qatar. Because then you were upset. Piastri kind of got pushed to the side.
Yeah, because he won on the Saturday, but I was like, well, whoop-de-doo.
Yep, but
Oscar's won. Thank you very much.
Max won the championship.
Oh well, he's done it twice before. He'll probably do it twice again.
Yeah, but
like
championship,
Oscar.
sprint win.
I'm not gonna say.
Nah,
what
come
I'm
on,
gonna
Ollie.
say.
We've got priorities here. Come on, Oscar Piastri.
Thank you very much, Av. Oscar
I hope our
Piastri,
viewers can
rookie season.
sense the
Thank you very much.
sarcasm. But anyway.
Yeah. But no. So that was the sprint. We'll go back into quali. We'll follow the weekend. So it's back into quali. Yeah. You hang your head in shame, right? Because you know what I'm about to say. It's the first point we've made. Hamilton, P18, 1-8 out in
With the
Q1.
likes of Sargent, Sonoda, Hamilton, Magnussen, and Zhao.
Talk to me.
What? Yeah. No.
What? Just what?
I'm honestly gobsmacked. I couldn't tell you what. Honestly, it was just looked like he couldn't hook it up, which I'm surprised at. He obviously needs every qualifying session. To be perfectly honest, every session for the next. How many months have we got left of the F1 season? A fair few, just to rain. For him to get a decent result. But yeah, it was poor, very poor.
Can I just say something to you, Beth? Right. After the
Yes.
sprints, AV turns to me and goes, "He's back. He's goated. He's on his way back up the ladder." Right? He goes. He comes this to me, and then there's the P18 result. And
In his defense, I do the same. Like Ferrari don't come last, and I'm like, this is our year. Like we're bringing it back,
Yeah.
and then it pulls some shambles. So I get it. Being Delulu was honestly the answer most of the time. So
but
Yeah,
you don't, you got to kid yourself into these things sometimes.
I almost feel like
Yeah.
it's Mercedes is like the stock market. It will rise, plummet all the way down, and then
Yeah.
it's so unpredictable.
Yeah, at the moment there is no correlation to results. I mean, Lewis in his end position in the race was realistically relying on others. So
But no, that was the sort of juicy, part of Q1. Q2, Beth, your favourite driver had a little bit of a tussle with the barrier.
He did, yeah, he did do
he
that.
did.
But he did. He ended up in a barrier, as
Yep.
we know, as we all saw. He did then remove himself from said barrier and continue on, and actually made it into Q1. No,
Yep.
Q3. I always get this mixed around, my numbers, man. But we will get onto this. But I'll just explain briefly. Aston Martin made a complaint. They protested about this, and they said, "Hey,
That's fair.
that's not fair," which I find odd because we'll get onto this, but just know that I find that odd. So out in Q2 was not Carlos Sainz because he pulled it back.
Yep.
Although I must admit, it was a good 15 minutes of me stressing. I was like, this is it. He's gone. Like, he's out. It's over. The weekend's over for him.
I mean, I'm not sure if this was intentional, but if it was, he is really smart in the sense that he knew he was going into the barrier and tried whatever control he had left of the car to make sure the front wing took the brunt of it, because the front wing could be repaired, not the side pods, not the rear wing. You know, it is the easiest thing to repair because they could just, if it's broken, take it off, replace it with a new one.
I didn't realise how kind of unfortunate the damage was until he pulled out and he just started like trundling along to the pits, and I was like, oh, he doesn't have a front wing. Like that's an important part. Then they fixed it and I was fine, and I was like, great.
Yeah.
So out in Q2 was Gasly and Ocon, Albon, Ricardo, and Lance Stroll. So the usual.
The usual.
Nothing like the.
Yeah, they're
And
the
then-
middle people, the middlemen.
Our taking pole, we had Mr. Max Verstappen, followed by Perez, followed by Alonso, and then Norris and then Piastri. So a good top 5, if I do say so myself.
Yep. But it was a fight for P2, wasn't it? It was Max set his time half a second ahead of everyone else, so there you go, he's gone. But P2, that was being traded, you know. It was Ferrari, Perez, Alonso, Norris, and it was just Norris got it last. So that one was a real fight for who was actually going to take the front row alongside Max Verstappen, which, as we know, was eventually Sergio Perez. But no. Now, before we get into the race, Beth, you have prepared. Was it just questions?
Prepared is a strong word.
Okay, fine. Created
Yeah.
created some trivia questions.
3.
Three.
They're not hard. I wanted. Yeah. I don't know how you want to play this because obviously this is a bit laggy. Why don't? Okay. Do you want to make this a competition? There's only 3 questions, so you will have a winner.
Yeah, go on.
Sure,
Might as well.
I don't mind.
Should we go old school and just say if you want to answer the question, put your hand in the air. Whoever has it.
Put your
fastest,
hand
I
in the
will
way.
put them.
Where's this
Oh,
school? Put your hand.
Oh yeah. I am your teacher.
Fine, great.
So
Right, hand in the air.
There are 3 rather easy questions because it was a bit last minute. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
So we'll start with number 1.
Oh god. Please don't
Go on,
lag.
your hands in the air, boys.
Please
no,
don't lag.
No
Please don't lag.
No
Please don't lag.
sporking? What's sporking? No talking.
Sport, me and Amy. Okay, you.
Ready? Okay. When was the last Chinese Grand Prix?
It's-
Well, that was
it's-
literally identical.
Well, this was your idea.
I got a coin here if you want it.
Fine, yeah. Use your coin. I trust you.
But you got
Right.
to cool it. You got to cool it.
Yeah,
you got to
heads.
cool it.
Beth, no, Beth, you choice.
No, what?
Okay.
Because then make it
Alex,
then unbiased.
Alex
That's
is
all.
heads, Ollie is tails.
Okay.
Fine. Okay.
Heads.
So it's you.
Okay, Alex. When was the last? Chinese Grand Prix?
2019.
Oh, okay. Well done.
This is
For Alex.
already a shit show, but
Okay.
it's fine.
Next question. As we have just found out, the last Grand Prix was in 2019.
Yep.
But please do tell who won that Grand Prix.
Do you just flip the coin? Just flip the coin.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Flip the coin every time.
I mean,
It makes it so much simpler.
Beth, heads or tails? Whose is who?
we'll flip it
You
around.
choose.
Ollie's heads, your tails.
Tails.
See?
It's just
Fine,
the way it goes.
fine.
Sorry, who won it?
Yeah.
No, this is delaying. He's delaying. He's delaying. It's
you don't
mine.
know you don't know the answer.
Hamilton.
Yeah, no,
I
it
just
goes
put
on.
Hamilton.
Who was this?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was
so-
voucher or not.
No, he got pole, but he lost it.
Ah, right, okay.
We'll try to do it on speed of hand raise this time because this is the last question.
Okay.
I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave it to fate. Okay. According to Google,
Oh god.
who holds the lap record at the Chinese Grand Prix? That was AV from on my camera.
Schumacher.
That was not a
So-
fuck. This is so shit.
Alex wins.
So shit.
That will return when I return from travelling and I'm back on the podcast. And we'll hopefully maybe we can try doing it in person. And you can't scream at me for being unfair.
No, we'll still find. Well, if I lose, I'll scream. If Avi loses, he'll scream. It's just the way it works, right? But no. So that's China. Yeah, Michael Schumacher is still holding the lap record.
That's impressive
Yeah,
because
that's
that would
which
have
is
been what,
impressive.
2004, most
Yeah, because
likely.
it was his Ferrari days.
Yeah.
But no, so now we'll go into the actual race, right? We'll go into the official race. First point I have down: Lewis Hamilton whining.
I
I
wouldn't
can
necessarily call it 100% whining.
No.
I'd say, okay,
no.
there were a few whiny
Here
points,
we go.
but then there was also a few that were constructive whining. So
Yeah, we agree. There was whining and constructive whining. Nothing constructive,
I
fully
can
constructive, but just that.
yeah,
I can quote the constructive whining.
Oh,
if one
please
if one would
do,
like.
please do.
Well, the quotes that I have down from Mr. Hamilton are as followed: "This car is so slow."
not
Followed
constructive
by
at all.
No,
something to sliding. He was talking about sliding.
constructive.
Feels like something is broken. Probably the
Yeah.
balance. It's really bad.
Yeah. Okay,
And those were
that was the
from
comment
him.
that was like in between, wasn't it? That was a bit of both.
Yeah,
But no. So he's on softs, right? He started on softs. Started P18, lap 1, P19. He loses a position on softs.
yes. But as you know, for China, if you're on the outside for first corner, you're gonna blitz past 2, 3 cars, as Alonso did. But yeah, he was stuck on the inside. I think Sonoda was also on soft as well, who passed him. So I mean,
Yep.
it is what it is. Just
Is
kind
what
of
it
got
is.
stuck, unlucky. But yeah, fair enough.
Okay. We'll come back to sort of Lewis and Mercedes overall, but yeah, I just want to. He was just not a happy bunny, was he? The race, he was just not
No.
happy one bit. We had several penalties dished out. I'm unsure who
Yes.
was who, but Beth, I'm sure you can take it away.
Okay, so first of all, we had Mr. Logan Sargent, who not only started in the pit lane, sorry Logan, but he got a 10-second penalty for a safety car infringement. There was a little bit of a tussle between him and Hulkenberg, and it was a bit like, oh, who was there first, but it was ruled that Logan Sargent sort of overtook Hulkenberg, and that was against the safety car infringements, and so he got a 10-second penalty. God, I need to breathe. Followed by Mr. Kevin Magnussen, who, as we probably all saw, went into Yuki Tsunoda, causing him to spin out and retire from the race. And Kevin Magnussen got a 10-second penalty? I don't actually know what he got. Probably a 10-second penalty for
Yeah.
colliding with Yuki. Then, which we will return to, we have Mr. Lance Stroll, who received a 10-second penalty for just ramming into the back of Daniel Ricciardo. We will talk about this, but those are the penalties. And then the final penalty, which winds me up, was given to Mr. Daniel Ricciardo, who received a 3-place grid penalty for Miami because for overtaking under the safety car. Now, basically what happened was Hulkenberg overtook him after the whole Strollgate, and Daniel then retook the position, thinking, well, those are the rules of safety car. However, the stewards ruled that Hulkenberg, under the circumstances, was permitted to overtake Daniel, but not vice versa, and therefore he got a 3-place grid penalty.
That was just a bit odd. That
Yeah,
I found that a bit weird.
This race.
Thought was in a bit odd.
I do too.
The penalties it was getting very difficult to keep up with it because it was just sort of all over the place, especially with the second. Oh no, sorry, was it second? Yeah, the sort of that safety car period of those 2 safety cars, it got very muddled and yeah, for obvious reasons. Which we'll come back to that absolute child of a racer later. But those were the penalties. One thing that Alpine didn't get penalised for was Gasly's pit stop, which
Yeah, that was odd.
unfortunately had the mechanic get slammed by a tyre.
So,
Yeah.
from my knowledge, what happened was the jack slipped,
Mhm.
and Gasly thought that was them saying, "You sound." Then obviously it wasn't. The jack just slipped. He obviously stopped the car, but the mechanic, I think he's okay. I haven't heard anything otherwise.
Right.
Like
I mean, they showed the clip, so I
Yeah,
guess
if-
he's fine.
Yeah. If they show the clip of something, everyone's fine.
Yeah.
Do you think he should have been penalised for it then?
It's an unsafe
It's
release. I
yeah,
mean, it's within the
I
team.
think it was. I
Had
feel like
he,
he was noted.
I think it must have
it
been. But I
was.
mean, if for example that tire had careered off and hit the people next in the pit lane, then I would have definitely said penalty because
Mm.
yeah. But I guess with it being an internal team, you just kind of shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, if that guy's got a broken leg or a dislocated something, he's he's not there for the next pit stop, and Alpine just don't have him or a one-man down.
Yep.
So it means slower pit stops. So realistically, that's enough, I would have thought. I mean, what's your opinion on it?
I just feel really bad for the mechanic, really.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine that probably just because I feel like he would have just been in so much shock. Because can you imagine just like being in the wrong place and suddenly a car coming at you, and they don't know that they're meant to stop?
Mm.
Like, he must have been terrified. Obviously,
Oh yeah,
thankfully,
I mean he
Gasly
just yeah.
stopped. Not necessarily Gasly's fault. Perhaps he could have been a bit more observant, but he stopped, so that's a good thing. It was noted, so whether you think it's a penalty or not, that's your opinion. But the FIA said no.
No. Okay. But yeah, that was it. It was sort of they showed the video and then that was it, wasn't it? Now next two things is Sauber related for obvious reasons. Bottas DNFing his engine it's just gone, right? He just loses his engine. That pulls out a virtual, which then later turns into a safety car, which then you know what actually blame Bottas for everything that happened. He started the safety car, which triggered everything.
Bottas.
Blame
Blame Sauber, because their fault. Their fault that the car stopped.
Yeah, fine, right. Sauber, it's your fault.
Whose engine is it? Whose engine is it?
Ferrari's.
I retract my statement.
Yeah.
Going back. It's Sauber's fault. It's Bottas' fault.
It's Ferrari's fault.
Uh,
You heard it. Beth says
ciao.
it's Ferrari's fault.
Ciao. Ciao. Lovely ciao. Kind ciao. The man of the hour. The man of the weekend. His home race. His first home race. The first Chinese Grand Prix with a Chinese driver. Because slave for Zhao. Couple of things. They're making a documentary on Zhao. They mentioned it during FP1. It's about his rise to karting and stuff.
Right.
They were filming whilst he was there. But more importantly, the moment after he had his own little like space for him to pull up into, and they all clapped, and he had a little moment where he had a little cry. Honestly, me too, Zhao. I was there with you. He's so humble and so lovely, and he said how much this moment meant to him, and I really felt that. I think we all really felt that. Even though he got P14, like it must have just been so special for him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, once again, Sauber fucked him and Bottas with the pit stops. Right, their fastest was a 3.0, slowest of 5.4, which
It's getting better. It's getting better.
yes,
I mean,
but it's still on par with a brake change at Le Mans.
yeah, the slow ones are. Yeah, I mean,
So
it's just it's not good.
It's still nowhere near there. It's just ruining the drive. It's still ruining the driver's races, even if it is by a second and a half. That second and a half can mean a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the difference between like first and third potentially, but I mean it's not for them. But one thing I did see this morning was a stake mechanic stood by whilst Red Bull did their double stack, one of their double stacks, and he's got his camera out and he records the entire thing, and he just kind of looks at it, shakes his head at what they're doing is awful, and then bottles back to his own thing.
I mean, our slowest pit stop was a 2.1.
And that's most teams' fastest and maybe record for that team.
We had 1.9s.
McLaren.
We had 1.9s. We had all sorts. Our pit stops were on point that race. They really were. But no, so Sauber's, unfortunately, there's stuff to talk about them. Nothing good, unfortunately, except for Zhao. He's had overall he's had a good weekend. It's nice when a driver has his first home race. It's always nice. But come the end, come the checkered flag, we have our podium: Verstappen, Norris, well done Beth, Norris, and Perez. So Norris managed to make that one stop works, which was, which helped him. He was in the right place, right time. Perez, a bit unlucky with the safety car. Could have and should have done a bit more. The safety car didn't exactly ruin his chances of getting P2, but that was the top three overall. I think that is that any more points for the race? I think.
I think that's
Apart
pretty
from
much
what I'm
it.
talking
No.
about.
So
Apart from, yeah.
what we'll do then, we will backtrack and we'll go through our subheadings, all the things we want to really analyze on. And yeah, what should we do first?
You start with the big
Before-
one.
Get him out
Go
of the
on, then.
sport. He is atrocious. He is shit. I do not care how much Daddy is paying. He does not deserve to be in that fucking race. He destroyed 2 drivers' race, right? He's not even looking at the fucking driver in front of him, right? He's just, yeah, fine. Fine. I'll come. Yeah.
You
You don't want to keep going? I was gonna say.
No.
No. It's fine. No, I don't want to say something I'll regret. So someone else take over.
Okay.
Okay.
What age
I
you do
mean,
for it?
I was just gonna say. I mean, so it was because of the safety car, wasn't it? They were all piling up, and I mean, it's Verstappen that determines the pace.
It was Alonso.
It's
I mean, yeah, it was Alonso who started the shunt back, but notice that not everybody else that was in the little pile up, or sorry, concertina, that's the word. When they all concertinaed up, not everybody crashed. It was only him because he was more worried about what was going on around the corner and let's get going than oh shit, there's RB in my way.
Or because
and
he
just
has
was
the
like-
reaction time of a fucking granny.
Well,
Right, sorry.
this proves the point.
Hmm.
He's either not looking, which
Yep.
is just as bad,
Mhm.
or he's looking and has too slow of reaction time to do anything. I know it's a small gap, but realistically, he could minimise the damage if he'd have reacted a lot faster.
And then
Which shows that he is like just not fit. Either way, just shows he's not fit for really F1. Because I mean, if say
thank you.
somebody else did that, you'd like to think they were A, paying attention, or B, would be fast enough to minimise damage. Because I mean, the back of Danny Rick's car was buggered. I mean, the front of his car was buggered as well, for that matter.
Piastri's
But
car
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
Piastri as well.
It was
yeah,
Piastri as well.
Pushed.
And him going constantly saying he had nowhere to turn. You did. You had the you could have turned right and left. You could.
Would you like me to put some formal quotes down? Because there are a few things that Stroll said this weekend that if
I
I
know.
was Lance Stroll, I would be regretting.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, he said, "This idiot just slammed on his brakes," effectively arguing that Danny Rick brake checked him.
Yep.
Whereas if Danny Rick didn't slam on his brakes, he would have gone straight at the back of Oscar Piastri.
Yep.
He then said, what did he say? Something else. Oh, I can't remember if this was about getting the time, the penalty, but he then said, "Unbelievable man, what a joke." But to quote Stroll from after the race, he said a few things. He said, "Someone braked at the front of the pack. I don't know who, and then everyone stopped. The car in front of me just stopped from like 60 to 0, so a really stupid incident."
Yeah.
Not really a smart thing to say there, Stroll. And then he followed up with, "And there was a really odd concertina effect I would have liked to see the stewards take into consideration maybe a little bit more." So,
It's
not really taking
just...
responsibility for this one, is he?
No, he's not. He is adamant that it's Danny Rick's issue. It's just not. I mean, as I said, it's Verstappen's process to do what he does on the restart, and he chose to do that. Everybody else paid attention. Alonso obviously was expecting him to go in one place. He didn't. He had to slow down. Hence the start of the concertina effect. And every driver behind should realise, okay, we're not quite going yet. Brake. Look what's around you. Acclimatise to it. And he just didn't. It's just poor.
I mean, you could argue that he wouldn't have seen Alonso's lockup, but because it was Alonso, then it was somebody, then Oscar, then Daniel, then Nance. Was Oscar right behind Alonso? I think he was right behind Alonso. So, like, if Oscar's braking and then Daniel's braking hard, surely you'd think, oh,
Yeah.
something's happened here. Let me brake.
Because Ricardo didn't see it. Ricardo didn't see it, and he still was able to brake in time.
But he realised, oh god, Oscar's braking hard. Something's happened here.
Well, I'm not sure if
Yeah.
I'm not sure if his thought process is something's happened. He says he saw the braking, he
yeah.
saw the concertina, so he slowed down. Stroll should have seen the same thing. He should have seen people are braking, bunching
Well,
up.
Daniel commented saying, obviously how hard he's hit me and pretty much put half of his car under mine. It wasn't a small lack of judgment, he was miles off.
Yep.
So for me, that concertina situation is not an excuse.
Exactly
Oh.
right.
That's what Daniel said.
Exactly right.
No.
And as I said, Aston Martin should be fourth, right? They really should be fourth. They're not by much, but they should be fourth. It is just Alonso Martin racing team at this point, and he's really dragging down the team. They've done a phenomenal job in last year going up in terms of development. They've managed to roughly stay where they're at, but they can't go there because they're being dragged down by the fucking waste that is Lance Stroll.
I bet
The
you
thing
when
is-
Alonso signed his contract, there is a clause that says, Aston Martin will get rid of Lance Stroll next year.
The thing
That would be
is,
the
like,
only
I
reason why
know,
I'd sign.
I know I said last week about like how it's not fair to judge somebody on their character because it's not. This is not, it's their driving. However, I get being frustrated. First off, like when it first happened, okay, but then I just feel like he so could have handled the situation so much better, and he's enraged a lot of people, and it's like, it's sometimes you just need to be like, all right, okay, like when Lewis did it last season, and he went into someone and he was blaming George, and then he
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
oh no, actually it was me, I apologise.
Well,
Just
your initial reaction when racing is to blame the other person. Fair enough, it's the adrenaline, that's
100%.
fair. But when you're out of the car, you review it, right? And you're still saying that's someone else's fault. You're chatting shit.
if you can't sort of, I feel like it's almost dangerous if you can't understand that, oh actually that was my fault, then it's a bit like you're then putting other drivers at risk. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is now a danger to other people on the track. It's just not good
because
sportsmanship.
did you see in the cool down room when Checo, Max, and Lando were watching, and they were all like, oh,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it wasn't. Daniel could have been hurt. Like that was rear-ended him, and his car was completely lifted off the ground.
Shattered
It wasn't
shattered
good.
his wrist again. That would have been bad. But no,
Mm.
we'll move away. Because I mean, the only thing is to say is he's terrible. Get him out of the sport. That it should be as simple as
I agree with that.
that.
Yeah.
Now, downfall of Mercedes, right? I
Go on
have prepared a lovely sort of fact about Mercedes in their current first 5 races, just to show how shit because they should be P5 in the constructors. You're lucky
Yes.
Aston Martin have Stroll in that regards. So first 5 races, currently sitting at 52 points. Russell P7 in the drivers with 33, P9 Hamilton 19. Russell has 64% of the team's points. Right?
Okay.
You know that's not a too bad of a ratio.
No.
Hopefully that will sort of balance out, shall we say? Now your highest finish, obviously the sprint podium P2, but your highest main GP finish P5 back in Bahrain.
Right.
So it's not even looking at the podium. It's kind of just, as I said, where Alpine was in 2022, always just there.
I think as I said, Lewis really this weekend relied on other people's downfalls to finish where he was, and I mean, he got 2 points at the end, shows that he knew not where to stick his nose. So I mean, at least we're finishing. I mean, we haven't done anything stupid, to my knowledge so far.
Except for your, not stupid but unlucky double DNF in Australia.
Yeah, okay. That's just is what it is. Unfortunate, but oh well. It could be better, but I guess it could be a lot worse.
And I'm quite proud of working out these averages, right? So just bear with me. You have scored an average of 10.5 points per race so far. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then I worked out an estimated amount of points that you'll have by the end of the season.
Right.
Do you want to take a guess?
If you were saying 10.5, 24.
240.
200. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 252 points by the end of the season.
252. How many did we end on last year, if you remember? If you got that reference?
408.
Oh,
um,
these upgrades in Imola could not come soon enough.
yeah, but everyone's bringing upgrades. That's the thing. How?
Yeah, but as was last week when Stroll said, "Oh, we got a GP3 car or another category car, or whatever it was." Hopefully these ones will
Yeah.
work.
But I think you're locked in P4 to be honest.
It's not going well for Merc. I don't
No.
know where we're lacking or
Mm.
where other teams are finding so much time, speed, downforce, whatever.
Yeah.
I just can't tell you enough. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that Mercedes will move heaven and earth to try and be where they were, because they seem to be the only team that could do that.
Yeah. I think you're right in that regards. But we'll move on and what's it? Best racing balls. Talk about.
Yeah, it was just obviously double DNF for them, but
Yeah.
neither of it was their fault. Daniel getting rear-ended by Mr. Stroll and Yuki Tsunoda getting clipped by Kevin Magnussen, which actually leads me very nicely into my bingo card because Mr. Yuki Tsunoda did in fact swear on the radio.
He did.
I don't have the exact quote, but I know he swore after the Kevin Magnussen, so it's a bingo card ticked off for me.
There you go.
6 races in, it took him a
Very
while,
nice.
but
Yeah, took him.
we made it, we're here.
How many?
Now-
How many have you got ticked off then?
I have some queries, so I will go.
I
to
have.
Our,
I have my queries after, so you will go through yours.
we'll go to our.
We do have an adjudicator as well now, actually, so it's a good opportunity.
Now
Okay.
we said, obviously we're only taking it off if it happens in the race, unless it's very specific. Do we count? This is just for future reference. Do we count the sprint race as a race as well?
Yes.
So if Lando won in the sprint race, could I tick off that's his first win?
No. I'm gonna say that's the exception.
In which case,
What? Okay.
on my thing, I have teammates collide. There was contact between Sainz and Charles during the sprint race.
Did
putting that to
bodies?
you.
So as I said last week, was there enough contact that one of them went out? No. And was there, for example, a piece of their car missing? A noticeable piece.
No.
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna say no to that one.
Okay.
In which case, that's all of mine. Then I just got one of them ticked off.
Okay. How many have you got in total?
4.
4. So thankfully, I managed to tick off 2 safety cars in one race.
I have double red flags.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Wait.
chuffed a bit. So now I've got 6 ticked off.
Very nice.
I also have a few queries. Shall I say?
Okay.
We use wet tires. I have. We didn't, did we? I'm just trying to remind
No.
myself. We didn't.
It was in.
'Cause I have wet weather race, so
Yeah, I didn't think we did.
but it was not.
Um,
it wasn't during that race.
Driver fight. Ricardo and Stroll.
When you say fight,
So when you wrote it down,
Hmm.
exclude what happened. What was your thought process?
My thought process was, outside the track,
Yeah.
it's 2 drivers clashing.
So like what happened with Ocon and Verstappen in
and
Brazil.
Verstappen, that was the
Yeah.
exact.
Yeah.
Is that what you're envisioning?
envisioning?
So I'm gonna say no again.
Okay,
It
calm.
was a few
That's fine.
feisty words.
That's fine.
But unless it comes to the next race and some shit happens there,
Yeah.
then at the moment I say no.
Fine, calm. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for that Ferrari shamble strategy. That will come. How many red flags have we had?
Not a double one.
No, but because
None,
I have.
But yeah, but it's during the race, remember? So
Is this all? Okay, fine. All right, fine. Okay. No. So then there you go. I just have 2 safety cars in one race. So I am at 6 ticked off.
Very
as it
nice.
stands. Yeah. Next up, we're in Miami. Another sprint race. I'm not a huge fan of Miami,
know.
to be honest.
I don't like it either.
either.
But you know, Avi,
That's what we'll do.
since you're the guest, what's your prediction for Miami, the podium for the main feature race?
Main race.
Logan Sargent.
Yeah.
Verstappen P1.
Good choice.
P2. I'm gonna go Sainz.
Good choice.
P3. you know what? I'm gonna throw a spanner in the works. I'm gonna go Russell. I reckon
Shit
they're
choice.
gonna have
Ooh.
some. I reckon they're gonna have some goated strategy. But okay, I'll mention the homeboy as well, Sargent. Where do I think he's gonna finish? I'm gonna say 14th.
Yeah.
We need to get points, so if we could, that'd be great.
What about you, Beth? Well, any differing predictions?
Mr. Max Verstappen.
Mhm.
I think Checo's going to be on the podium, but I think he's going to be third.
Okay. Who takes that second?
Not a Mercedes.
Yeah, definitely not a Mercedes.
Piastri.
Wow.
Copying me and my Japanese prediction.
Is that what you guessed?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a Max Verstappen, so we're all in agreement. Yay.
Wow, what a shock!
See, I reckon it's gonna be hopefully three differing teams. So I think I'm hoping it's gonna be
Ooh.
Leclerc and Norris.
Okay.
Those are my three. And then for
But
Sargent,
we've all
I
gone.
do
well,
agree with the P14 because I think that's really his sort of limitation.
Yeah, I think if he gets points this year based off his own merits, he will have done well.
Congratulations.
done well.
Yeah, if you've done well. But
But,
we'll see if that actually happens.
Yeah,
before
it's
we
unlikely,
go,
but oh well.
one final thing I'd like to say. So, next race is my last race before I am off seeing the world, which means I'm busy. I'm busy doing things during both Imola and Monaco. I'm actually in Monaco, week after Monaco.
That's
So-
poor timing. That's
That's
just
poor
poor
I
timing.
know. I know.
That's poor timing.
But whilst I'm gone, you will hopefully have the wonderful
Yeah, we're taking
joy
over.
of having
We're taking over.
Mr. Alex. So you'll have the
Yeah.
boys. But then I'll be back for Canada. So
Yeah, it's
all
gonna
as well.
see when it's a Red Bull and a Ferrari fan, there is some civilness.
Oh, Civil's going out the window. next
Civil's
week,
going
man.
out the window.
Civil's going out the window, man. Yeah.
I will obviously try to watch as much as I can. I might send some things to the boys, but
Yeah.
I won't be here because I'll be off in different parts of the country. So hopefully you can enjoy their content. I know
Yes.
Alex just isn't as good as me. Okay, no.
Whoa.
I'm kidding.
No,
You know
fair,
I
but,
love you, Randy.
You're the replacement.
Yeah.
Um,
No, thank you very much for this opportunity. I will hopefully not disappoint you, Beth,
don't miss
and
out.
enjoy seeing the rest. Well, seeing the world.
Thanks,
I
guys.
expect presents.
Okay.
I expect
Well,
a present.
I'm going to Italy, so I'm so gonna try Charles's new ice cream.
Oh no, I was expecting Ferrari merch on the way
I
back.
wanted Ferrari merch.
I
want
mean,
Ferrari. I need to
I
replace
will.
the hat. I need Ferrari merch.
Okay, I'll see what I can see what I can find.
We hope you've all enjoyed this sort of Chinese rundown and also an official guest this time. We do have a sort of other sort of guests we want to bring on and stuff like that, different fans of different teams as we progress through the season. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you follow on all the other socials because we will make different posts. We'll keep you updated on bingo. We have memes. We have all sorts, right? It's good for everyone. Good for the soul. And let us know also what you think because if it's, criticizing Red Bull, we don't care what you think. But if it's anything,
I care. I'll read them and I'll stick them up on my wall.
but anything else, we'll listen to. But no, thank you everyone so much for watching, and we will see you in the next episode. See ya.